5 stepping stones. How do I make my company customer-centric, more customer-centric? And I believe, and that's what I'm writing on, there are five critical elements to that. Let me quickly highlight them to you. There's the surface vision, and I talked about it just now, and we'll talk about it a bit more. There is setting smart goals. There is measure where you are against your goals. It's about the execution, so once you know where you are against your goals, how are you going to close the gap? And last, manage the change, because if you do that, if you're going to change process-oriented, product-oriented processes to customer-oriented processes, your employees will need to go through a change. They need to do things different. And the only success you have in this kind of transformation is if you manage it right. And that's sure you talked about it. Let me go step by step. Let's start with step number 1, surface vision. Let me show you a surface vision that I like in particular. Now, we are ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. Anyone knows here which company has invented this surface statement? Jason, I get you. Jason, what is the answer? Ritz-Carlton, that's right. Ritz-Carlton has invented this. Interesting part of this surface vision is that it has those two parts, which look like very much the same. But what are they telling? What are they telling their employees? That their employees are on the same level as the guests. And what are they telling the guests? That they will be served by people that are similar to them. They spent years developing this, and this worked extremely well with Ritz-Carlton. And if you ever have been in a Ritz-Carlton hotel and you've experienced the service, you know exactly what I'm talking about now. There's also the other side. It's Ritz-Carlton. There was this Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. Who knows that hotel? At least it's an iconic hotel. It was open 2 years back, and there was a lot of pressure. They were building the hotel for the past 5 years, and a year before the hotel launched, that's the launch date, all the rooms were already fully booked, and there was a big crew of international lawyers coming to Singapore and having their yearly congress. They want to launch the hotel because they have already made some promises that, for example, those lawyers would do that conference. What happened is that they launched too fast. Operationally, they were not ready to open the hotel. And if you're an iconic hotel like them, you're going to have all the press of the world you're going to have there. And if then the projectors are not working, and when the congress is going and all the sound installations don't work right, you look stupid. What was their service vision? Magnificent. So they, weeks before they open, they say, we are magnificent. And that doesn't gel. If your service vision doesn't gel with where you are in your maturity stage, you'll fall flat. And for weeks they were negatively in the newspapers. So what did they do? Very interesting. They changed their service vision to something that gelled more to their employees. They say, sorry for the blurred image, journey to magnificence. They just changed, they added those two words, journey to magnificence. It told their employees that you don't have to be magnificent right now, but if you make some steps, you will be magnificent in the near future. And what does it tell the customers that visit the Marina Bay Sands? That hey, you come to our hotel, and we know we'll be magnificent, but not today, not yet. Please help us. Okay? So it's a very smart way of using the service visions to motivate both customers and employees to do things differently. Let me go to step 2. So once you have your service vision, you want to make sure you get it translated into things that you can measure. You want to set targets. Peter Drucker says, management by objective. If you don't have clearly defined objective for the people that work in your organization, everything will fail. because people are always inherently motivated by incentives. Now, this is a very long story, how to set your targets on customer experience. Because obviously I'm not talking about financial targets, because companies are doing very well on financial targets. I'm talking about customer experience targets. But if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this step 2, is you want to be the number one in something as a company. In the customer experience world, there is no room for a number 2. Why do I say that? 2 reasons. First of all, imagine you're a customer of that company, and you have to choose between two companies. One that is giving you the best service, the other one who is giving you a number 2 service. Who will you choose? You go for number 1, right? So only the number 1 will reap the benefit of creating, of spending all that money into customer experience initiative, and it will pay off. It has a good ROI. Second reason, imagine you're the CEO or the CFO or an employee in a company, and your goal is to become number 2 or number 3 in that market. How motivated are you? How much effort are you going to spend to be the number 2? Right? So it's about being number 1 is motivating all the people that will work in that organization to become number 1, to be proud of it. Step number 3. Now you have a set of targets. You have to set targets for your whole organization. And you need to formalize it. And I formalize it here, and it's just an illustration. I use the term dashboard. Put it in a dashboard. In the dashboard, this may sound very intuitive to you. Of course, you put the targets in a dashboard, and then you measure where you are, and you do that continuously. I've done this a few times in my life, and this is not an easy task. This requires a whole organization to talk about the targets that you've set, the way you measure things, which KPIs go into the CEO dashboard, and which KPIs go into the CFO dashboard, and there's a lot of discussion. And this process literally can take months. But don't worry, the process needs to take months, and you need to do it diligently. Because once you've decided as a company in your dashboard, in your targets, you're very close to your goal. There are a few aspects in a dashboard like this to me that I want to highlight. For customer experience dashboard, typically you would want to have a good understanding of all the touch points that you have with your customers. Because in those touch points you're going to measure how well your performance is. So you can compare the way people buy your product with the way those same customers would buy the product of your competitor. What you then do is you would look not only at survey data, because that is the way I would see these customer experience data. So somebody walks into a store, does a transaction, goes out of the store, and then you ask them, scale 1 to 5, what is your overall experience of your the product that you just bought? You don't only put those numbers in the dashboard, because that's not the only truth. That is what your customer says. It's the most critical input, but you also have to complement it with operational KPIs. How long did I wait before I moved to the counter? How many minutes does it take the average customer to call before the call gets picked up? How long does it take for us to install a product or maintain a product? All those kind of operational KPIs. And what you do, you list it out in time. 1, 2, 3, for a year. And you know what you get? And I've done this a lot of times. You can start to see all kind of correlations between different KPIs in your dashboard if you've done it right. Every time customers have to wait a little bit longer on the hotlines, the customer experience drops with 5%. When we change something in the design of our stores, guess what? The customer experience went up with 2% for those shops where we have made that change.
But it starts you, for an organization,